Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr. Hey folks, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston Astros fan podcast. We are a Houston Astros fan podcast and blog that you can find on the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. This is your home for Astros news and reporting, fan reporting for this upcoming season, folks. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. And I'm coming to you in studio here in Los Angeles, where it's a nice sunny day after an Astros win, where I'm joined by my co-host and producer, Carla the dog. Carla the dog is the Roz to my Frasier. We love her here. Sometimes there will be some audio issues because I have a dog in studio. I'll also open doors for her so she'll, kind of be peaceful and quiet. And it also is LA, so yeah, you will get helicopters. You will get some audio bleed over for the ambiance here, so that you know that I'm truly in Los Angeles, folks. I am very happy to report that the Astros won the first game against the Oakland A's 9-2. I know a lot of fans, a lot of haters out there like, yeah, just the A's. Well, the A's aren't bad this season. I mean, they're not that great either, but comparatively speaking for the A's, they're off to a 19-24 start after yesterday's game. The Astros have they've faced the toughest schedule when you look at the strength of schedule for this season so far. They have played so many tough opponents. It is really nice for the Astros to have the A's and the Angels on schedule for this month. They need to play divisional opponents that they can beat. It has been a struggle for them this season. They did take the series from the Rangers for 3 so far, with the games they've played. And they do have some more games coming up against the Mariners. The Mariners series did not work out quite that well for the Astros. So, we are going to need these divisional wins. So for me, this game against the A's is important for that reason. The Astros need wins any way they can get them. I am not going to be picky about which teams they're beating. Right now, they need wins. They need to be climbing up the standings. They are now 16-25 on the season, which is definitely not where we want to be. We are in the point of the position in the season where we are making our way back to 500. And that's just where we are. That's kind of what I was anticipating for May. May can be a lot of times a back to 500 month for the Astros. They have dug themselves one of the biggest holes that they could dig themselves as a team, one of the biggest in 20 so years. It's been a while since they've had this big of a hole to climb out of in the beginning of the season. So this was refreshing. This was good to see. It is what we want to see as Astro fans. I hope my diehards out there are having a good day. This is your podcast for diehard fans. I know some people are already being, oh, what a homer, what an optimistic guy. Well, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Houston Astros. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves fans of the Houston Astros, and truly they're just haters. They just want, they just want only the good things in life. That's okay, but if you want that, then maybe don't follow a baseball team. Baseball teams are really risky bets if you're betting on happiness, folks. It can be a very volatile market if you're buying happiness with a sports team. I highly recommend against it. I say follow a team because you like the sport, or you like to support your hometown, or good things like that. Following a team just to be angry and resentful and hateful is just going to be a lot of anger for you in your life, a lot of displaced anger for you, folks. So we try to stay positive here at this podcast, even when the Astros are having a tough season. That's not to say that we're not going to make our jokes, we're not going to talk our smack talk, we're not going to talk realistically about the expectations for this team. It's just that we're not going to be on here saying a bunch of nonsense and saying a bunch of hate and saying these hating takes that seem to be so prevalent in sports media. I truly don't understand why there's so much hate out there. I do know that, with a lot of the bigger people with the Athletic and some of the bigger blogs, you put that hate out there so you can get the clicks. So I do understand that. But from the fan perspective, I'm just saying, let's be a little bit more optimistic. Let's try to enjoy the season a little bit more. And when you start to worry about how bad the season has gone so far, remember the last decade. Okay, be a little grateful for where we've been and grateful that we still have a good team that can continue to improve. Before we get too much into the game recap, I guess really, talking about this team improving and this team doing better and kind of bad sports takes and stuff, I've seen some fan-sided takes. Last I not only do I watch all the baseball games, I watch every inning, every pitch of the Astros. I even on off days sometimes I'll jump on AAA, get a Space Cowboys game going or something. I love watching Astros baseball. I don't just come on here and talk about it and try to give you my hot takes or my cold takes depending on what side you're on. I'm actually watching all the games. I enjoy it. I'm a student of baseball. But, I'm not trying to be, I'm a scout or I'm an expert. I'm very much taking the point of view of a fan here, folks. I love the Astros. A lot of my stuff is going to be from their point of view. So when you see fan-sided, they had this article about how the Cubs are most likely going to trade for Alex Bregman at the trade deadline. And I know a lot, Chandler Rome, a lot of people have been critical of Dana Brown, saying that he is, Astros general manager Dana Brown, saying that the Astros will not be sellers at the trade deadline. And everyone's like, well, you got to be realistic, and what I said last podcast is like, yeah, you got to be realistic, but you don't say the quiet part out loud in a press conference. You don't go out there when your team is struggling and say like, yeah, we're probably going to sell some of these guys off. You want to inspire confidence still because this team was built to win. This team has great aspirations. It might be tough to get there this season, but the fact of the matter is this team was built to win, and you don't just start taking it apart piece by piece because you're upset with a couple of months. You don't just fire your manager who's been with the team for a while because he is struggling out of the gate. And I would argue that, that Espada has maybe lost one game in total with his decisions, which is pretty darn good for a manager, especially with all the moves that he's been making. When the more moves you make, sometimes you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. You put the pressure on yourself when you do that many pinch hits and that many substitutions. I feel like he's done an exceptional job. I feel like as a manager, you can't hit for the team. You can't pitch for the team. You just get your guys in the best spots possible. And I feel like he's done that. And so I'm looking at all these fan-sided articles, all these AI written articles, all these Chandler Rome hate articles that are out there, I'm always shocked. But this Bregman to Chicago thing, I guess I just don't see. Because I think the Astros would truly have to be in a really bad spot to trade Bregman away. I don't anticipate that being a thing that this organization wants to do, unless I really believe Dana Brown and the organization when they say that they want to keep Bregman around long term. And you don't just bail on a player that you want around long term because he's having a tough couple months and you're worried about his contract situation. The Astros. The Astros are not historically the trading a guy on an expiring contract type team, at least during this golden era of Astros baseball. So I don't see it. I think it's a bit of a reach. I think it's wishful thinking on the Cubs' part. The Cubs have had a good start to the season. They are looking for some hitting. It just goes to show, while there are so many Astros quote-unquote fans that are very upset with Bregman, that think he's washed, that think it's over, there are teams out there that are more than willing and more than happy to take Bregman up. And it's not just because of his defense and what a great defensive third baseman Bregman is. It's because he has that pop in him. He has that potential to be a good hitter. He's just really struggled. And I think teams are just rubbing their hands, like the meme of the guy in the yellow jacket standing behind a tree, just rubbing his hands together. Teams are rubbing their hands, rooting against the Astros, not just because they don't like them, but because what if they could sneakily get Bregman? That would be big for many baseball teams, folks. I really think that when you look at that, Bregman is a highly popular player because he is a good player. And the resentment from Bregman mostly is coming from Astros fans and some Astros haters that are still out there that they drink up all the John Boy juice and they believe every conspiracy theory. These poor guys that hate on the Astros, they probably have had their brains eaten by parasitic worms. These are the type of people that are Astros haters, folks. They just don't think things through clearly. So yeah, I just think this is mostly wishful thinking. This Bregman news, this Verlander being traded news, I think is still wishful thinking. I think Verlander wants to play with the Astros. He wants to play with a contender. I think it would have to be a really tough season for the Astros to trade Verlander. But I do think if there is a trade that happens because the Astros are not playing well towards the trade deadline, it would be most likely a trade like Verlander, to get him to a contender and to get some pieces back, perhaps. But even so, that would have to be that's a long road, folks. I don't think that is likely to happen. If I'm doing the fan graphs statistics that the Astros are going to be sellers at the trade market, I would say that's probably around 11%. I don't think it's that high. I do know that you have to be realistic with the way they're playing, with the way. How long it's taking them to get out of this hole, there is a chance that maybe they're not they don't have the best record at the trade deadline. But I still can't imagine them being sellers. I definitely can't imagine them selling Bregman. And speaking of Bregman had a great game against the Oakland A's, tripling his home run total on this season. A little facetiousness from me there for sure, but we're happy to see those Breggy bombs, or those wild souls, I should say, out there now. They're not Breggy bombs out there. Bregman had 2 wild souls last night, 2 little jars of salsa that he hit out there, and it was really good to see. Bregman finished his night going 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 1 walk. He scored 3 runs on those 3 hits. So, you do love to see it. Bregman's improving. In the Chandler Rome article, because even though I make fun of Chandler Rome, and it's an easy target in comedy, you punch up. Chandler Rome, I'm sure he's a perfectly fine guy. I'm sure I'd love getting a beer with Chandler Rome and talking baseball. But it's easy. It's an easy mark for me. But yeah, so I did read the Chandler Rome article, and the Bregman said his phrase, and something I know. Bregman said before and Dusty Baker said before, is the cream rises to the top. And, we really do believe that here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. The Astros are the cream of the crop, folks. Lately, they've been playing like country crock. I agree. I know. It hasn't been the best start to the season. But what Bregman is saying is that, they are the tops, and they will get back there. This is, like I've been saying about their statistics too. Things will get back, regress to the norm. Right now, there's been some terrible statistics with the Astros when it comes to them in late inning situational spots, and they're definitely, you could call it clutch, you could call it runners of scoring position in these big moments with the, when the win probability added is at its highest. The Astros have definitely seemed to struggle a lot this season. But I don't think that's going to last based off of how well they are hitting and what the makeup of this team is and how this team is coached. I think this truly is coming from pressure. I think they have the pressure to not have a slow start like they always did. And then they had the pressure of not letting their rookie manager, Joe Espada, down. Everyone's saying, that the body language is bad and they're not playing for this manager. And I've said it a million times. I just don't see it. I think truly they are pushing. They are putting pressure on themselves to win for this manager. And then the narrative started of individual players like Abreu and Bregman started struggling, and that got amplified, and all the pressures of the Astros not executing in big situations. I think this pressure is getting to them. And the only way to relieve that pressure is to continue to play the game that you play best. Not everybody has the same skills. Mauricio Dubon shouldn't be out there on every pitch trying to hit a home run, because that's not his game. John Singleton shouldn't be out there expanding his zone and trying to put the bat on the ball just to get a hit, because that's not his game. These players need to play their individual games and be able to pass the baton off to the next batter. If they can't get a hit, they work that walk, They work the count. They exasperate the pitcher. They need to work these pitchers. They've been, for the most part, they've been doing it. They've just not been doing that in big moments. And I think that's coming around, especially with this Bregman big game. If we get a little bit of that Bregman swagginess back, we might finally have a swag captain on this team. I said it earlier in the season, we really don't have a Correa or a Martin Maldonado, kind of this really swaggy person that kind of gets the people going. And yeah, I know Martin Maldonado didn't really have a lot of like home runs that he could pimp, or he didn't have like a celebratory it's me time celebration or anything like that. But he's a guy that gets other players going. Even stuff like calming pitchers down, amping pitchers up. One of my favorite things, giving Yordan Alvarez a kiss on the neck. All of these little things that kind of get people fired up and amped up for, is what this team is lacking. And there's not a lot of people on this team that's their character makeup. There's not a lot of swaggy guys, like maybe Chaz, but he's been injured and not been hitting too well. And, Bregman. So we're looking for a little more confidence, a little more swag from this team. And if Bregman could keep improving, it'll be a good start to that. To continue to talk about this offense, there definitely was a couple of players that were hitless in the starting lineup. However, almost everybody made it on base except for Yainer Diaz, who did struggle a bit out of the DH spot. He didn't get a strikeout. He struggled to reach base. But as a total, I guess I should mention Myers and Singleton also were hitless, but they did work a walk, and they both were able to score a run. In total, the Astros got 10 hits and were able to score 9 runs, where they worked 4 walks and only struck out 3 times, which is what you want to see. You want to see those numbers. You want to see them turning hits into runs, getting some walks, low strikeouts. This was a great day for the Astros. With the team with runners in scoring position went 3 for 7 and only left 4 on base. Myers picked up his second steal of the season in this game. Another thing of note is that the Athletics, they did bean Jose Altuve, Stripling, kind of just hit him in the thigh. There's definitely going to be talks of it being intentional or not. I do know there's a lot of animosity between these two teams. The Oakland A's and a lot of the people that have been with the Oakland A's for a while don't like the Astros. I don't think the Astros really think about them too much. I didn't care for a lot of the Oakland A's back in the day. Ramon Laureano and Marcus Seaman and all the kind of guys that thought they were going to win the division, like, I don't know when that was, 2019 or something like that. It's like I do know that there's some bad blood there. I do know that it's insane to me that LDE of all these people that are just like, we're going to hit them. You should never advocate for violence in a sport where a ball can really do tremendous damage to an athlete. That is some childish, ridiculous, insane person behavior. Anybody that says that even as a joke, you deserve to burn in hell, in my opinion. Like, that's just some silliness. There's definitely players that I don't like. I jokingly say I hate players, but I really can't think of a player that I truly hate. I would not wish physical harm on anybody. That's not the way. That's not the way we do things here. That's some foolishness and childish behavior. Never advocate for violence, folks. It makes you look bad. It makes you look stupid. It makes you look like you don't know how to resolve your own issues. Okay, it's just a bad look. Grow up. But yeah, I don't think that this was intentional. But I don't know. I really don't know. The pitcher did seem to be a little out of sorts. He stepped off the mound, kind of walked close to Altuve. He kind of gestured to himself, looking over at first base when Altuve got to first. I do understand that it is fun sometimes to fan the flames of these rivalries, but also, it's like I don't like just thinking that I know what somebody was thinking based off of their body language. I think that's silly. I don't know. There's also a lot of posturing in baseball, a lot of moments that can be edited where you just really aren't sure what's happening. in my opinion, I don't think the guy hit him on purpose. It was an awful pitch. It hit him in the it hit him in the thigh. It's not. It was a big miss. But yeah, I just don't see it. I don't think that this was intentional. Also, I didn't get to his. I honestly was like, I should have watched the Oakland A's interview afterward. I didn't, but I'm just saying, unless he's going out there and saying it was intentional, I really don't think it was. The Astros are a really good team. They don't retaliate by throwing at your player, your team's hitter. They retaliate by scoring runs. That's what we like to see. That's what the Astros did here, winning the game 9-2. It's also the thing, last season when with the Breggy, like especially during a playoff game, when everyone's like, oh yeah, they were trying to hit him. He was trying to pitch up and in. He was trying to brush a guy off the plate that can deal a lot of damage. He was trying to make him uncomfortable, and he did miss. That's a reality of the situation. He did miss, but I'm just saying it's not intentional. This team does not throw at people that have done them ill will, or else they would be throwing at every single person. This team wants to win. They don't want to be petty and get back at people. Teams that are petty and retaliate by throwing at hitters and doing it that way, they're not winners. Those are losing organizations. That's Scott Service and the Seattle Mariners. I know they've had a good season, but Scott Service is that guy. He's that petty guy that will throw at people and say inflammatory remarks in the press to drum up violence and hate. That's not us, okay? We don't do that. That's some foolishness. So it was good to see that the Astros just took care of business. There was no any kind of hint of retaliation. When that happens, I always get a little nervous when the next pitcher on the Astros is pitching up and in and pitching tight. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Make sure you throw these pitches on the inside edge and don't get too close to the batter, because the last thing we need here is some hothead like Adolis Garcia, with his big head and small voice, get all excited and start flexing his muscles. I'm not saying anything's happening there. I'm just saying, there's a certain type of drug that gets you all hot and bothered a lot. So I do think, all joking aside, I do think it was great to see the Astros win this and not retaliate there on that Altuve beanbag. You definitely want to see them win. When we're looking at the Astros scoring, it was nice. Kyle Tucker did hit a double that scored in the first couple runs. Kyle Tucker still being that guy on top of the two Alex Bregman big swings. That Tucker double was good to see. When we're looking at the pitching side of things here real quick, I'm like, wait. I guess that's kind of, all I really wanted to mention briefly about the offense in this game. It was good to see Caratini out there. Caratini is having a good season. He is being a backup catcher that we kind of wanted. When Christian Vasquez was here, a lot of people wanted to see more Vasquez. With the capability of Diaz to DH and outside of this game having decent DH performances, it's nice to see Caratini being mixed in there to get some playing time as well, and doing good with that playing time, and doing good defensively with that playing time. Caratini had a great defensive game, throwing 2 out of the 4 players out that were trying to steal bases from the Athletics, a team that could definitely get a lot of bags. So that was nice to see Caratini have a good game defensively and offensively, and just keep continuing to mix it up and get into the lineup with the Houston Astros. Myers also was in the game with Alvarez, with I should say Diaz at the DH, that moved Alvarez to left field, which meant that there was not a lot of rooms for the baby birds there to get into the outfield. Jake Myers stepped up and played center for this game, with being sandwiched between Alvarez and Tucker. I think when we have that lineup, Myers is probably going to be the preferred center fielder until Loperfido gets more reps, and starts showing that leather off a little more in center. I anticipate Jake Myers being the center fielder with Alvarez and Tucker on the field. And Jake had he didn't get a hit, but he did work a walk. Jake has had a decent season, and he has to continue to have a decent season with all of these outfielders breathing down his neck. He doesn't just have Chas McCormick and Joey Loperfido and Trey Cabbage. He also has Pedro Leon, to worry about trying to take that spot in the outfield. So, yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the pitching side. It was spaghetti time in the juice box, folks. I celebrated by having some spaghetti and orange juice. It was a great time. I sat there in my my City Connect jersey and enjoyed my spaghetti and orange juice in honor of Arrighetti getting his first win of his career, the first win of his season. Arrighetti pitched for 5 innings. He picked up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs. He walked 2 batters and struck out 5. He looks like he has a strikeout stuff. It looks like he's settling in. He's trying to figure out how to go deep into these games. It's really good to see. I think, let's see. Arrighetti threw 86 pitches and 58 of them were for strikes, which is a lot better than what he was doing in the previous games. He was kind of nipping around the edges a lot. He still is going to be that guy, but what he did better than his other outings in this game is that the pitches that were nipping those edges looked hittable. And that's really the thing is you have to, when you have really good stuff, when you have that sweeper, when you have all these great pitches and pitch shapes in your arsenal, you need to be able to kind of nip around the edges and find your spots. But at the end of the day, the batter still needs to think it's a good enough strike or a good enough pitch that they can do something with it and miss. And he had that in this game. He had some swing and miss stuff, and he was hitting those spots and hitting those corners and edges. His ERA is now down to a 7.52 on the season, which is, still high. But when you look at the fact that he has struggled so much during those other starts, and this is his first win, we're hoping that he can build off of the success. If he is not able to, we still have Hunter Brown. We still have Sean Dubin. Arrighetti is still fairly young, and this is his first kind of stint as an Astros starter. So we're hoping for better things for him. We're hoping he can grow and learn from this and just keep getting better. This was the start we wanted for Spaghetti Arrighetti. After those 5 innings, Montero came in. He had another good outing. He got a hold, only gave up 1 hit and got a strikeout. We also, the game was close for a while in the early innings. Let's see. In the 5th inning, it was still 3-2. It wasn't until the 7th inning when the Astros really broke the game open and started getting better hits. So at this time, we were still thinking, Espada was still thinking, we got to keep this game close. So we had Montero come in for the 6th. It looks like we're doing our desired bullpen rotation on paper for close games. We then went to Abreu in the 7th. He picked up his 7th hold of the season, giving up 1 walk, but getting 2 strikeouts there. His ERA is down to 3.6. Look out, folks. We are turning things around slowly but surely. I think it was, I'm trying to remember. It was Obama. It was Obama who said this, that when you're turning a ship around, it takes, a ship isn't like a car. You don't just do a U-turn. It's a process. We are a turning ship right now, and we're making a U-turn, turning this thing completely around, but it is a wide turn. It is taking a long time. And if I'm bothering anybody by bringing up a Obama analogy, I'm sorry. I just thought it was apt. It's fun. I'm like, oh man, I'm bringing up politics in the podcast, but that's okay. This is innocuous. If you have problems with it, here's my half-hearted Obama impression. Well, I'm sorry that I offended you. That sounded more like Jimmy Carter. I don't know who that. That's why you don't do impressions on the spot, folk. Anyway, that being said, we move on to the 8th inning. We had Presley coming in. We're still thinking it could be a close game. Presley still needs some work. Presley was able to get that hold. He did give up 2 hits. He did get a strikeout, though, and was able to get out of the inning and kind of improve his stats as well. But by the time the 9th rolled around, the Astros, in the 7th inning, they scored 2 runs. In eighth inning, they doubled that, scored 4 runs. The game had gotten away. At that point, Espada was like, all right, well, let's save Hader for another game. They ended up sending Taylor Scott back out there, who got 3 strikeouts in the ninth inning. And, Taylor Scott's looking pretty good. You always need kind of, the serviceable arm. He's kind of, overachiever. It's really good to see him. We really want these kind of arms. We're rooting for Taylor Scott, who's been a journeyman up until now. It's good to see him get some consistent playing time on a team and him to do so well. I'm hoping that he can just continue this and this isn't completely overachieving, but even if it's just a little bit of an overachieving pitcher, you always need those guys. You need those guys that are doing well, maybe having a bit better season than they normally have, or just, whatever the case may be. I'm very grateful for Taylor Scott being on this team because he has provided so much for this team when they've just needed some innings eaten, and you just need pitchers like that. He came out of the gate a little rusty, but he was able to focus up and get out of there, getting those 3 strikeouts. You love to see it, folks. It was a great game in the juice box, guys. I really think that this is the beginning of great things to come for the Astros. Later on today, the Astros are playing. Of course, they're playing the Athletics again, and the opposing pitcher is J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears, we kind of talked about it in the last podcast, how he's, kind of not had the greatest start to the season. He has a career ERA of 4.32. He's started off with a 4.20 ERA so far, and 45 innings pitched, and 33 strikeouts. His whip is down to 1.13. So he does have good numbers. His ERA is a little elevated, but he does have the capability of being a good pitcher. So we can't, with this A's team, the Astros can't go in there and kind of play lackadaisically. I do see the hustle from this team. I do see them trying really hard. I do think that, like I'm saying, perhaps they don't try as hard. You don't feel the pressure as much. But I do think against J.P. Sears, they can find some success. Not because he has a slightly elevated ERA, so, comparatively, but because he's a left-handed pitcher, I think the Astros can beat up on left-handed pitchers. Sometimes I've said it before. Sometimes they've proven me wrong. Sometimes they've proven me right. But I do have some optimism against this A's team. The way the Astros hit the ball yesterday, and perhaps they can put the hurt on this left-handed pitcher. And on the Astros side, Ronel Blanco is going to the mound, so we're looking for a great start. Normally, Ronel Blanco has to play stopper. Right now, this team is on a little bit of a roll, a little roll. If Ronel Blanco can just go out there, pitch a great game, and perhaps keep this roll going, that would be absolutely fantastic. Then for that, the next game against Framber Valdez, the Oakland A's have announced their starter. It's going to be Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks, not the, for Houston fans, not Aaron Brooks from the Houston Rockets, the point guard. Aaron Brooks is a pitcher he's been with a lot of teams. He's bounced around. He has not played, it looks like, in the majors since 2022 when he pitched with St. Louis. He has a career ERA of 6.55, career whip of 1.5. So, we're just going to have to see what we give to Aaron Brooks. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's 34 years old. I'm thinking that this could be the potential for the Astros to kind of get ahead of Aaron Brooks and kind of welcome him back to the league with some tough hits, with some good hitting, I should say. That's the game Framber will start for the Astros. And in the fourth game that the A's and the Astros will play, the A's have also announced their starter. That starter is going to be Joey Estes. Joey Estes has had a good regular season so far. He's pitched one game, but he's has 5 innings pitched with a 1.80 ERA and .40 whip. So that was a great game. Now his career regular season, it's only 3 games, admittedly, but he does have a career whip of 1.07 and an elevated ERA of 5.4. So, perhaps this guy, with that low whip in a very small sample size, it seems like this guy can bring some good stuff. But we will have to see. He is a 22-year-old pitcher. So, we are going to get some question marks when it comes to the pitching from the Oakland A's in the last 2 games. And the Astros are literally sending a question mark up to pitch for that 4th game right now. We do not have a pitcher set for the Thursday game. That right now is set as TBD. So we shall see if that's Christian Javier, perhaps another pitcher. I just think that that this team, is finally getting some swag, which is what we needed. We need some Bregman hitting. We need some bat flips. We need, I'm not a guy that's like, you should be bat flipping all the time, and we need to be obnoxious, and we need to get some kind of get the wild soul salsa every time that we hit a home run. Bregman's gonna open the wild soul salsa and take a big dip out of it and on a tortilla chip and eat it into the camera. I'm not saying that we need some kind of gimmick or something like that, but it would be nice for this team to start feeling themselves a little bit, get that swag going. I think that this team has been very professional and just struggling all season. It'd be good to see some smiles in that dugout. I think they can do it, folks. Right now, when we're looking at the standings, the Astros are 16-25. They're still 4th place. They're behind Oakland, who, like I said earlier, has a 19-24 record. But we are only 6.5 games out of first place. Now, first place is Seattle. Like I said, before the Seattle series, I truly think Seattle is the team to beat this season. Not just because we have a little bit of an edge over Texas right now, but because Seattle's pitching is phenomenal. You win championships with pitching, folks. We know this as a team that has been there. I'm not sure if Seattle knows it, but as a team that's been there, you do know that you win championships with pitching. And this team has great pitching. I do think that we should be concerned about Seattle, not just because they've done so well against us, but because they have great pitching. They're at the top of the league right now. Their run differential is only +10. The Rangers even have a better run differential of them, +13. So it's not like their offense is burning the league to the ground or anything, but they have good enough pitching that's all they need. So the Rangers, we're kind of looking at a tale of two cities when we're looking at the top of the American League West right now. The Seattle Mariners are the team that has great pitching, and the Texas Rangers are the team that has great hitting. The Astros are a team that, right now it's a coin flip. What the team that shows up to the field, they can have good hitting on one day and bad pitching, or vice versa. So we're hoping for more consistency from the Astros so that they can keep climbing up these rankings. When you're looking at the run differential, just for perspective here, we're looking at the AL East. The AL East, the run differential for the AL East leading Orioles is +48, and the run differential for the Yankees is +54, and they're sitting at 2nd place there in the AL East. Meanwhile, in 3rd place in the AL Central, Kansas City is looking at a +45 run differential. So when we're looking at the +10 run differential for the Mariners, it is telling that they are going to be a defensive first pitching type team. Right now, the Astros have struggled against them, and their pitching has been phenomenal. The Astros have had streaky hitting, so we need more consistency from this team. We want them to get on an offensive roll so that by the time that the Astros go to Seattle to play the Mariners, they are kind of feeling themselves. They're ready to get some hits and ready to go into a quote unquote hostile environment and get the win. I do think that Seattle will be loud. They love showing up for the Astros games and heckling. It's funny because I do think that there's so many fans that they still to this day think, oh, we're gonna go up and we're gonna make it uncomfortable for them. I don't think it's uncomfortable for them. I think if anything, the boos inspire the Astros nowadays. So I think it'll be fun to see that. Another little news of note that I wanted to close the show out on is I wanted to give a huge shout out to Julia Morales. Julia Morales is the sideline reporter for the Houston Astros at the Space City Network. We're huge Julia Morales stands here. We love TK. We love Blummer. We love Julia here at the podcast. But it was really good to see Julia Morales in the booth. There was a Freaky Friday that happened on a Monday here in Space City. Julia Morales took the booth over for TK, and TK went downstairs, grabbed some peanuts, and started passing them out to the starting pitchers as he was the sideline reporter. And it was great to see Julia Morales in the booth. She had a great call on the Bregman home run. It was a lot of fun. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is Jenny Cavnar took over, I should say, as the A's play-by-play TV announcer this season, and she is the first woman to hold that role in a full-time capacity for Major League Baseball for a team. And so this was kind of history that happened during this broadcast because Jenny Cavnar, I apologize, Miss Cavnar. Jenny Cavnar, she was in the booth, and Julia Morales was in the booth, and this is the first regular season game where two women were in the booth calling the game, and that is huge for this game, folks. I know that there's probably some people out there that are like, oh, why is this big news? If you don't know why this is big news, turn off this podcast and never listen to me again. You're foolish. This is great. This is great for the sport. This is great for women. This is great for women in sports. A lot of times, you think about it. You take a job. Everybody has aspirations. You don't just take a job to kind of stay there forever. I'm sure a lot of these people that get sideline reporting jobs, whether they're a man or whether they're a woman, they are thinking maybe one day I can get in the booth. I'd like to call some games. They have a career path just like anyone else. And historically, women have been not given not given fair opportunities to call games. And you just love to see it, folks. I do think it's great. It's great for the game. It's great for Julia Morales, who's worked really hard. Jenny Cavnar is a professional who's been working in the game for so long. These aren't just ladies that they brought off the street because they're trying to be woke. These are women that have been working in the profession for quite some time, and they are owed this, so it was great to see. It's good to see the Astros be a part of history, to be a good part of history that supports women and supports the fans. You love to see it. And on that positive note, we're going to keep rolling through to more positivity to look forward to more Astros wins. In the last podcast, I said that we really needed a sweep, but I'll take, I think I said, I can't recall. I might have said 2 out of 3, meaning 3 out of 4, because this is a 4-game series. While Julia Morales and Jenny Cavnar are professional broadcasters, I am still learning. So I probably did make that mistake there. So I am reiterating that I am thinking that they win 3 out of 4 in this series, and I think today's just another good day for a win with Ronel Blanco on the mound. I think this is something that the Astros can keep, perhaps do the same thing they did last game, where they keep the game close, and as soon as they get to that bullpen, just really blow it open with some good patient hitting. The starter JP Sears does look like he has some good stuff. He might be, he might have a good outing, but what we need to do is just knock the starting pitcher out of the game as early as we can, get to that bullpen, and just go feast mode on those guys. I really want to see it. I think this is the time where the Astros' luck is changing, and sometimes that's all you need is just to feel a little less pressure, to have a little more fun, and know that good things are going to come around to you. And I just want to remind you of that. No matter where you've been, no matter how it's been for you as an Astros fan, good things are going to come around to you, folks. It is happening. The Houston Rockets got the 3rd pick of the draft. Good things are coming around for the city of Houston, folks. It will happen. That being said, I just want to go ahead and close this podcast out by thanking everybody for listening. If you're listening to this podcast, I appreciate you being here with me, being a diehard Astros fan, an H-Town hustler like myself, and appreciating the Astros and trying to enjoy this season for better and for worse. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I would appreciate it if you would try to go to the blog. We have memes, we have articles, we have podcasts, we have video podcasts there. Go check it all out. completely for free. You can be a subscriber completely for free and just get the emails directly to your email box, be able to comment on things, stuff like that. Just check out the podcast at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can check me out. I'm Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. on all the social media accounts, on the social media networks, I should say. This Astros team is turning the corner. This Astros team believes they are the cream of the crop. They aren't the country crock that they started the season off like. These are the Astros. I know they're wearing those fanatic jerseys that make them look like a knockoff Astros, but this team is still the Astros. They're still capable of doing great things. You don't just throw the team out because of a bad month. They will turn things around, and this organization will find success, even if it comes a little later than we want it to. It's just been a tough one, folks. So thank you so much for listening. Check out the Substack. If you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe. Please give us a 5-star rating. Share with some Astros fans that you know are diehards, that you know are kind of sick of all this toxic media and need some positivity. Share me with them. Let them know my goofy sense of humor and my homerism takes here about the Houston Astros, folks. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll catch you next time on the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. And as always, vamos Astros.